Hello guys, it's James and welcome to our round 24 betting tips. I can't believe it's round 24, the last round of the year, and we went a bit positive. I was hoping to get this around 2,000 bucks, but that big hit a fortnight ago fucking stung so much because we kind of only just go up a little bit. We might have a really good week and it'd be 300-400, but usually it'll just be like sort of a break even 100 200, but dude, when you lose all the bets from 2 weeks ago, it fucking stings. So anyway, we're slowly making that back. And it was a pretty good week. So let's get into it. But man, it really sucks. It's the last full round of footy this year before we get into finals, and a week off. God, what do we do with no footy? Anyway, the game on Friday night, Essendon versus Sydney. It was funny. A friend was asking me for like a tip for the game, and I suggested this because it's my tip. And I was like, Brodie Grundy, his bad games are usually like 13, 14 posies. If he has a bad game, he's still very close to hitting. And then against Nick Bryan, I don't even know who that is, like Essendon's ruckman, Sam Draper was hardly in the ruck. Brodie Grundy just gets fucking, given a bath, and Brodie Grundy gets 9 posies and actually has a proper bad game. So, and he was on the bench for a lot too, and man, it was rough. So he's one of those type of players I'm like, I would like to bet on again, but yeah, his form has been pretty crap of late. And I thought his bad form, his bad games would still get 15 posies. And Redmond I thought was an absolute lock because he gets a lot of footy when there's no Ridley, but you'll see in my Essendon bet coming up this week, the Essendon-Brisbane game, that I've compared Mason Redmond and Andrew McGrath for posies when Ridley's not in the team. And McGrath's actually winning by, it was like almost 3 posies or something. So I'm going to switch over to McGrath. And he did look much better on the night too. Mason Redmond, he got, was it 4 or 5? I think it was 5 posies in the last half. He was on 14 at halftime. I'm thinking, all right, Mason Redmond's fine. Goulden just got it. But I thought the only issue was Brodie Grundy. And anyway, Mason Redmond, 5 in the last half. Damn. And Goulden hit. I like Goulden. I know he had that stinker when he got tagged, but I know he just hit 25, but I stopped watching the game when it became a bit of a blowout. So, yeah, anyway, so Brodie Grundy was the issue there. Next game, Suns versus Melbourne. Oh, dude. Bodie Ueland, I've had an eye on him for about a month now. I think this is the second time I've bet on him. One was a miss. This one was a hit. So I was like, great. Bodie Ueland, fantastic. Neil Bullen looked awesome after having a quiet 2 weeks where he got like 13 and 15 posies. A lot of those posies were in like the last quarter. But anyway, Ben Long, who was like 10 for 10, just, kicked a goal every game. As soon as we bet on him, he's had a scoring shot in I think every game this year, except this game where we bet on him. He doesn't have a scoring shot, gets like 5 posies, gets subbed out. I'm like, that is just... That's how it is. Where your risky bet, like Bodie Ueland, I was like, oh, he's a bit risky. I can't remember if that was the game he got like 20 posies, but yeah, Bodie Ueland, I was very happy that he hit. But damn, when like Ben Long was like $1.10, I could have easily just not included him. Has an absolute stinker, and I thought Gold Coast would be fine versus Melbourne because I know Melbourne haven't been great, and it was at Metricon, right? Oh man. That one sucks. That one sucked. That one was like, oh man. Anyway, see Ben Long subbed at, I don't know, it was in the 3rd quarter or something. I'm like, oh, well, there's no point watching now. Anyway, the Gold Coast Freo game, that one was close. I did miss both those games because I was out Saturday and I had to be home for the Brisbane game. But yeah, this was fantastic. Brett Daniels has just been fantastic. He's having an awesome year. Harry Perryman, again, only missed that one game. I forget which it was, but it was the game I was watching and he was doing everything he needed anyway. Harry Himmelberg can have those big quarters, like 8 posies one, 2 quarters the next, but don't be that worried because yeah, he's hitting 20. He's got a very good range, like 18 to 22 posies. He's very good there. So if he is on I think he was on 2 posies or something at quarter time, or he can have a very quiet one, but he'll smash it out later. And Andy Brayshaw was a cheap one there for 20. Didn't he have like fucking 40 posies that game or something? I think he had a lot. Anyway, Brayshaw had a great one, and I love Brayshaw. So let's move on to the next one. Oh, I don't want to move on to this one. So Brisbane versus Collingwood. Man, I really wanted Brisbane to win to get into the top 4. Now, now we have to win like every game from here on out. Every game from here on out to make the grand final, so I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, Joe Danaher, I feel bad for him. He's like the only player in the league that can kick 4 goals and be blamed for the loss. It's insane. I love Joe, but that's a part of the Joe package. He'll have amazing moments and then goofy moments, but no, I'm a huge Joe fan. Darcy Wilmot had me worried because he was on the bench for about 10 minutes in the last quarter, and I really thought Darcy was going to hit 20 this game. And I think he was on 14 going into the last. But yeah, he spent almost half that quarter on the bench. So he was on track for 20, but just finished with 16. So maybe keep in mind if you want 20 for the next week. Joe Danaher for 15 posies was great, with no Henry Smith or whatever. Anytime there's no Darcy Ford or Henry Smith, anytime Joe is second ruck, I love him for 15 posies. And Cam Rayner, our fucking goal scorer. So again, to anyone who watched the game, you would have seen this. This was actually how our boy missed this goal. This was an absolute gimme. I just had to show you guys. This, right? He gets a tackle holding the ball. He's kicking it from about 12, 13, like 40, 50, like very close. Right near the goal square. He's kicking right out directly in front. That is our $1.20 goal scorer. Absolutely fucking shanking, missing that. And that is then the multi just going down the shitter. So we got super unlucky with Ben Long not kicking a goal. And then Cam Rayner not kicking a goal. Like, man, those ones are super unlucky. Anyway, we had some better luck with the posies. Speaking of, actually, Kane Farrell, who had 7 posies in the first quarter. And then I think like 1. And then 2, and then 1. Like, he is a player I've brought up a couple of times who has a big range. There's no Dan Houston this week, so maybe he gets a bit more of the footy. But man, that was super frustrating. Michael Aney was the one who I was actually having, concerns at like halftime, quarter time, not getting much of the footy. He had a great second half. Kane Farrell did nothing. Matt Crouch has been fantastic. The only worry for him was when he first came back. Now he's had like 3. That's his 4th game, and he's looking great. So yeah, like Matt Crouch. What was the next one? Saints versus Geelong. Oh yeah, so this one all hit. I actually forgot to bet on this one because I included a like the multi between several games, and I actually forgot to bet on this myself, and it got up. So I was annoyed. I watched it, and like Shannon Neal kicked a goal in like the first couple of minutes, and I go to check my multi. I'm like, oh, are you kidding? I didn't even bet on this one. So anyway, Max Holmes hits Atkins. Battle's been in great form. So yeah, I really like this multi, and I was super annoyed that I forgot to bet on it because I was waiting to see which bet was going to be the bonus bet, and turns out it was the Brisbane game. So I even forgot to put the bonus bet on it. So not too worried. It could have been even bigger if I had the bonus bet on. First game of the Sunday, Bulldogs versus North. Man, Bulldogs just absolutely destroyed. And Adam Treloar had no posies in like the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, he's like one of the top 5 or probably, he's definitely up there, ball getters for the year. And he hasn't got a touch in 10, 15 minutes. Thankfully, he turned it on and he was fantastic. So, and Sam Darcy kicked like 7 goals and we just had him for 1. So Libba has been great value because of that concussion risk. So you'd usually never get Libba for $1.20, $1.25 for 20 posies, like never. But because he has had those knocks to the head and he has been subbed off a couple of times, and I get he might have been subbed off against North when the game was over, but didn't they have an injury? And anyway, I know Lob was on the bike for a bit, so I've actually included him. Someone mentioned last week that Lob for 15 was maybe a good bet. He got 13. It was very close, but I know he was off in the last quarter for a bit. He actually had like 70% game time, which was like the 4th or 5th lowest for the Dogs. And he's been in great form, so someone to consider. And Lockie Bramall, I think he had no posies in the second quarter, but man, again, like him and like Harry Himmelberg, I know they're sort of different types of players, but just stats-wise, if you're... And Zach Guthrie to an extent, but these guys... and like next level can get 0 posies in one quarter and then like 8 or 10 in the next. It's crazy. So very thankful that they can still keep going. Hawthorn, Richmond, and Chol had a couple of shots, just kicked the 1. Ginnivan, was very quiet until the second half, where he had 10 posies in the third and fourth quarter. But yeah, it didn't hit. He got 14, super close. But his 3 misses in the last 3 months have been 14 posies. So he's always very close. And I'd rather him sort of miss. If everything else is going to fail, I don't want Guinea to get 15 posies. We'll save that for next week because I like betting on him. So I'm going to bet on him this week. Tim Taranto, a lot of the Richmond players just didn't get the footy. Taranto, Hopper, both got under 20. Just Hawthorn were just dominant. So I had a big multi, and I had Jacob Hopper. He was the one player I needed to hit, and he didn't. So anyway, that was unlucky. I was keeping eyes on him. The West Coast Carlton game, yeah, Waterman for 2 goals. I'm glad one of our 2 goal scorers hit because I was confident in Coll, but Waterman kicked 2 goals early when West Coast were showing something, and then after, I don't know, halfway through the second or half time, yeah, West Coast were done, packed up, didn't need to watch this game anymore. So thank fuck Jake Waterman put in got some footy early. Elijah Hollands bounced back after just missing last week when there was no subs. So yeah, he was fantastic. And same with Hewitt. Hewitt could have gone for 25, but Hewitt has been fantastic when there's no Chero, when there's no sub, when there's no BS, and Hewitt is just playing in the mid. He's been fantastic. So I think his odds still for this week for 20 plus are still okay, but yeah, no, I've loved Hewitt. Yeah, so that was the recap. So a couple of, if Cam Rayner, how does a professional football player just miss from 12 meters out directly in front? That could have been another couple of hundred that were up, and then Ben Long not kick. We could have had a huge week. So there was only one bet that really stunk, and that was the Hawthorn one. But anyway, I'm just going to pause here and we'll go on to the bets for this week. All right, for tonight's game, Melbourne versus Collingwood. So, man, I thought, yeah, I'm going to do, so someone also suggested that I do my tips and everything. My tips are horrible, so I don't really want to provide, I don't know, tipping advice, because I thought Collingwood would be more favourites here. But what I want to do, I was going to do it this week, but I might start either for final series when there's less games, or I'm going to do it next year where I'm going to include my favourite player from each round. So, because sometimes I'll do those, I pick one player from every game who I think is my absolute favorite. I'll do a 4-leg, 5-leg, 6-leg, and they've been pretty good in this back half of the year. So I might do that next year. Instead of just doing the one bet for every game, I might pick my favorite player. But anyway, that's something that will probably happen. Anyway, there's not much value for this game. So, there are players I like, but just not for the right price. And the players for the good price, like Darcy Cameron. So look, I know the problem with Darcy Cameron in this game, bursting Max Gawn. I love Darcy Cameron. He's been fantastic all year. He's had 2 games this year where he's hit below 10 posies. Very quiet game. One was against the Lions. The other was against Melbourne. So I know he's versing Max Gawn, arguably in contention for All-Australian. But yeah, Darcy Cameron is the only one there with actually good value. I mean, I like Lipinski. He's presenting a bit of value just because he had a couple of stinkers and then was subbed. And they're versing Melbourne, and I didn't think Melbourne had that much to show. So I thought the ball would be in Collingwood's half forward a bit, which is where Lipinski gets a lot of his footy. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I like but Noble's been very inconsistent of late. I mean, I like Bowie. He'll be taking more kickouts because there's no Stephen May, but for $1.18, Jake Bowie, he's had 20 plus in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I could highlight Jake Bowie, but I just don't feel super strong. And I like Neil Bullen, but for $1.10, just especially when 2 weeks ago I was watching him struggle. So he barely hit that 15, and obviously then he missed 2 big games. But yeah, and I like Ed Langdon too. But yeah, Melbourne had a good week. Oh man, they had a good week last week. Against Gold Coast. So all of Melbourne players, their odds are a little bit too short for my liking. Anyway, 20 posi bracket. Josh Dacos been fantastic. Again, I know he's a bit short, but it's kind of what we have to dip into for this. There was actually a bet, I haven't included it, but for Jack Viney to be under 25.5 was $1.80. Now Jack Viney has only hit 26 posies 3 times this year, and one of them was last week. So I try not to include those ones unless I'm super keen, but I know Jack Viney had a good game, so it's kind of, you're sort of backing the player to have a stinker, especially when they've just shown some good form. And I think Jack Viney is now committed to Melbourne for the next couple of years. So was it one? I can't remember. So all signs are like Jack Viney is doing well, re-signed, had a great game. And it's like, I want to back against him. So anyway, if you guys are listening to this, I know most people just do this visually and just look at the bets, but if anyone's actually listening to this, Jack Viney for under 25.5, I might have a personal bet on that. Nick Dacos for 25, he's just hit the last couple of weeks, and man, he can fucking just win you a game. He is amazing. But for 30, maybe a couple of months ago, yes, but he can have big games, but he's sort of just getting, like he's averaging 30 posies in his last 10 games. So haven't highlighted him. Bobby Hill has had a scoring shot in every game this year, and kind of like the Darcy Cameron stat, that one game where he didn't have a scoring shot was against Melbourne. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this bet, but there's just not much to pick from, because Darcy Cameron and Bobby Hill both had stinkers against Melbourne last time, and Josh and Nick Dacos are just not good value. So I kind of feel like my hands are tied for this one. There's nothing I really like. So yeah, I mean, it's been a little rare where we've just had absolutely nothing, and yeah, I just don't like this one. So this one I'm not that super confident in, but that's my bet for tonight. Anyway, move on to next game. We have Geelong and West Coast. Oh, I need Geelong to lose to West Coast at home, so Brisbane can make the top 4. West Coast are $11. There's no chance of this happening. In fact, anyway, with my bet, I've actually included Shannon Neal for 2 goals because I think Geelong will absolutely just pump the living shit out of him at GMHBA, at home in Geelong. I feel like after their performance against St Kilda, I didn't watch that game, but what the heck happened? Geelong had a great start. I watched, I think, like the first quarter, and then, yeah, St Kilda, that's crazy. So anyway, I feel like, let me just go straight to Shannon Neal. I've highlighted him because I bet on him. Shannon Neal, I know, is 4, out of 10 or something, but in his last couple of games, he's hit 2, but he's always had a scoring shot. I just had his stats up before. But yeah, Shannon Neal for 2, I really like, and if he's not going to get subbed, I'm even more bullish. I also have Jeremy Cameron for 2, but for $1.15. For 3, yeah, but I feel like I'm going to go Shannon Neal. I can ask maybe 2 for him. And he didn't kick 2 last week. I think he kicked a goal and a point against the St Kilda game. So yeah, very unlucky. Well, actually, we had him for 1. So if he can hit 2 this week. So I'm just looking up Shannon Neal stats in the meantime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he's had 12 games this year. 2 of them are subbed. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's 50% for kicking 2 goals in his games this year. One of them, he got subbed with like 3 posies. Yeah, I don't know. I like Shannon Neal. Had a scoring shot in every game. I also like Ollie Dempsey for a goal. But I've gone Ollie Dempsey for posies, because if you take out his 1 bad game, his outlier of 15, he's averaging 20 posies if you take that really bad 5 out of his system. So he's getting so much of the footy. He's the short favourite for Rising Star, right? Tom Atkins has been great. Nothing else to say about Atkins apart from that 1 game that we had him. He's been good. I like Lawson Humphreys. It's funny, we bet on him when he got to 12. It's how does this always happen? We bet on Atkins when he got the 11, and then we were kind of hesitant, and now we're back on him. We bet on Lawson Humphreys where he got 12, and then we kind of backed off, and that's why I like backing players when they just miss. Especially if I like them the week before. If they miss, I gotta try and back myself. So I don't know. I like Lawson Humphreys, but just be careful because it's against West Coast and he's playing on the half back line. So not to say that won't get much of the footy. Like Carl Amon against Richmond, he got 26 or something posies against Richmond, like the bottom side. The backman can still get it when they distribute the ball into forward 50. So and that's why I've got Zach Guthrie highlighted too. I like Zach Guthrie, but I really like Dempsey, Atkins, Holmes for my ball winners for this game. And Shannon Neal, I go in for goal scorer because I think Geelong will probably win by 80. And you guys saw West Coast absolutely just didn't rock up in the second half against Carlton. There was like clips of them just playing shit as fuck footy, like just no second effort, not even a first effort. So I really think Geelong will just pump him. I've highlighted Liam Duggan because he hasn't actually taken the kickouts for a while, but there's no McGovern and there's no Witherden. So they are the two primary kickouts for West Coast. And I know Jaden Hunt like might take some, but they've got Liam Duggan in the back line. They need a good distributor just kicking out from fullback. And there's probably going to be a barrage of fucking scores from Geelong. So Liam Duggan will probably get 7 posies just from kicking out in fullback, which is why I like him for 20. Max Holmes, yep, been fantastic. Waterman for a goal just because it's at Geelong, which is why it's $1.15. Usually he'd be like $1.01. Well, he'd be $1.01 if he played for a better team. But yeah, one of the bottom teams against Geelong at home. It's a tall order. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. So next game is Richmond versus Gold Coast. The Dimmer. I'm thinking of Dan Rioli and stuff going to Gold Coast. Wonder if he chats to Dimmer on the field or something. Anyway, oops, sorry. I need to scroll this down. Gold Coast and Richmond. Okay, so Bodie Yuland, who I'm going again, even though we hit last week and our bet didn't hit because Ben Long, I just said I need to maybe try and back the players after I have a stinker. Look, I don't blame you if you go Ben Long, even though he got subbed. But yeah, I'm going to go Bodie Yuland, who I really like. Will Powell has not missed 15. He's been great. I think he missed like once or twice very early in the year. Jack Graham actually missed for the first time in ages. Sam Flanders for 25. This is crazy. It's the first time he's actually more expensive than Noah Anderson. I know Noah Anderson had a good game last week, but Flanders is averaging like nearly 3 more posies more than Anderson. So yeah, I like Flanders. Tim Taranto had a stinker against Hawks last week. So yeah, usually hits 25, missed. But it is against Gold Coast. But it's at the MCG, so you can consider that. Dion Prestia, if he doesn't rip his hammy off the bone, he's usually good for 20 plus posies. So if he can stay healthy, he's great for 20. So I'm going to take that injury risk or whatever. It's the last game of the year, so hopefully he can just play one more without getting injured for Richmond. Was there any goal scorers? Yeah, Ben. Oh, I've highlighted Ben Long. So he missed and was then a tack sub. So that's crazy. That's the first time this year he didn't have a scoring shot. And of course, it's when we bet on him. So I've highlighted him. I haven't actually included him, but I don't blame you if you were to take out like Flanders or I like Yuland for the value, or if you want to take out Will Powell. But yeah, Ben Long, he's missed his last 2, and it's at MCG. But yeah, first time he didn't have a scoring shot. Maurice Rioli, I like him. He is 5 from 8. So this year he's 60%. And I know he's been injured and stuff, but he hasn't been the sub at all this year. He was a bit last year, but I know his year's been riddled with injuries. But yeah, I like him for a goal scorer. When he was playing earlier in this year, I did bet on him a couple of times. So he's $1.70, just coming in for the one game before their season's done. So yeah, I wouldn't mind Rioli. I just didn't bet on him because I'm just a little worried he might be sub risk. I know he hasn't been subbed this whole year, but you know, first game back, maybe I don't know, just ease him into one game and then put the feet up. Anyway, Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. Here we go. So yeah, George Wardlaw, I really liked. He was a good price. He's been very short, but Hawthorn usually ruin the other team's mid. Like Richmond got none of the footy last week. Who did they verse the week before? But yeah, they usually... Carlton, yeah. And they just destroyed Carlton. Hawthorn are in such good form, so there is a bit of value for the opposition ball getters if you feel like you want to go for that. So I've highlighted George Wardlaw and Jai Simpkin, but I'm going Hawthorn. I'm going Marbio Chol after he missed the 2 goals last week. I was bullish on him for 2 goals. I'm going to try and get that again this week, especially against North. So let me just go down. He is $1.44 for 2 goals against North Melbourne. So Hawthorn are almost winning their games by 100 points recently. So I feel like this will happen and there'll definitely be a goal scorer. I didn't highlight... they're too short, some of the goal scorers for Hawthorn. But yeah, so I like Marbio Chol. Jack Ginnivan for 15. I mentioned him at the start of the video. If his 3 misses have been 14, 14, and 14 posies. So very close. Even if he has a quiet start to the game, he can come home strong, and he gets a lot of the footy up the ground, high half forward, kicks it in. He's not just that small forward waiting for it in the pocket. He can get a lot of the footy, so I really like that. And again, Chol missed, Ginnivan missed. Carl Amon, who I was watching, I just really like Carl Amon. So averaging just over 20, 9 out of 10, still gets a lot of the footy even against a shit side. And just after watching that Hawthorn-Richmond game, just the amount of times he just got the footy when I just wouldn't, I don't know, I just thought that Hawks mids were just going to win all the clearances. Like they did, they destroyed. But Carl Amon still gets a bunch of the footy, which was great to watch. So I'm including him in my multi this week. There's no one for 25 that I really like. Colby McKercher I do like, but just careful because when Zach Fisher is in the team, he usually loses about 5 posies because him and Zach Fisher will share the kickouts. And Colby McKercher can get like 7, 8, 9, 10 posies just from kickouts alone. So he's going to lose some footy there because Zach Fisher is back. So no one really for 25 I like. And goal scorers, they're all too short. I like Moore, I like Ginnivan, I like Coll, but I feel like I'd rather go Chol for 2 this week, especially after he missed last week and he had a couple of scoring shots. So I'm going to back him after he missed. Essendon, Brisbane, Dyson Heppel's last game. I think... Oh, God. There'd have to be a lot wrong for Brisbane to miss, but I hope they make the finals. Anyway, so Joe Danaher for 2... Oh, it's Joe Danaher's 200th game, this one. So I think he'll be great. There's no other second ruckman to stuff up Joe's posies, so I think he'll get a lot of the footy. Essendon are kind of a bit depleted and their season's over, but you don't know which Essendon you'll get. You'll either get an Essendon that'll, get spanked by St Kilda or something when the game's on the line, or I don't know, you'll get the first half of the year Essendon where they'll play amazing. So I don't know, but I really like Joe. And for goal scorers, he's actually... No, wait, is that can't be right. 9 out of... No, that's not right. Is it? He's... Hold on, let me do this. Joe Danaher. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly. Because these 2+ goal scorers I have to put in manually. Everything else I've got set up really good to be an automated system. Wow, he is 9 out of 10 for 2 goals. He didn't kick a goal against the Crows, but he's kicked 2+ goals in like his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13. So he's 12 or 13 for 2+. Yeah, fuck, get on board for Joe for his 200th game. Brisbane need to kick straight. For anyone who watches the Brisbane games as much as I do, they're averaging like 13, 14 behinds in like the last month of footy, which actually leads me into the last player I've included, Andy McGrath. So I've highlighted this, I've done it in caps lock so I don't forget. He's averaging almost 25 posies in games without Ridley this year. So 24 and a half posies when there's no Jordan Ridley. I checked because I was like, I had Andy McGrath in my draft league, and then he just went to shit, and I sort of traded him, and now he's doing well again. It's just Ridley not being in the team. So, and he's only missed 20 once when there's been no Ridley. And I've also got Brisbane are averaging 13 and a half behinds in the last month, and he takes half the kickouts with Redmond. So there's 6 posies already that we're going to get from Andrew McGrath just because Brisbane are so inaccurate. I really like Andy McGrath, and this is what you got to just be wary of because he's 5 out of 10, but Ridley, he's missed the last 3 games now, and he did play a bunch before that. So Andy McGrath and Mason Redmond's form guide is a bit inaccurate, but that's why I've highlighted both of them. I also highlighted Darcy Wilmot because he could have got 20 if he didn't spend all that fourth quarter on the bench, and he's averaging 20, and he's missed his last 2. I like him, but Andy McGrath is just screaming value. Absolutely screaming value. Like, that is crazy. 24 and a half posies with no Jordan Ridley. That's insane. So, and Brisbane are kicking just fucking waves of behinds. So, I really like that, and Joe's 200. This is usually I don't bet on these games on Saturday night until what happens before, but I'm just betting on this now because I really like this bet. So very bullish on this one. There's a couple of other goal scorers I like. Sam Draper's been playing a bit more in the forward line, a lot more in the forward line with Nick Bryan in the team. So there's that. Hugh McCluggage, I didn't mean to highlight him. I'm actually taking that away. That should have been Sam Draper. Cam Rayner. So he missed against Giants at the Gabba, and then he fucking missed that easy shot, which I showed earlier in the video, 12 meters out directly in front. I don't think he's going to do it 3 times in a row. So I've highlighted him, but I've found better value elsewhere. So, and Jake Stringer, you know, I think has he got that 1 extra year, or is he trying to get it? So anyway, contract year Stringer, 9 out of 10. I feel like he'll just kick 1 goal for Essendon. No one for 25, unless Neil or his odds usually get better before game day. Same as Dunkley. I've said it in a couple of videos. Oh, $1.04. Usually Dunkley is about like $1.10, $1.12, and then you can get out to sometimes $1.20. Not as much now, especially after a good game, but check those stats right before the game. Usually they get a bit better. Anyway, so that's the Essendon Brisbane game. Let me move on to the other game Saturday night. Sydney Adelaide. What do I have for this one? So James Rowbottom for 15, Goulden for 25. I like Goulden. Josh Worrell. So I know he's just come back after a bit of an injury, but there's no Mark Keane for Adelaide playing, so he's going to take a lot of the kickouts. And Mitch Hinge is just out of form, so I know Hinge will be taking some of the kickouts, but I think Worrell will get more of the footy. So I'm keen to back him. Did I include Michael Laney? Yeah, I did. So I haven't bet on this yet, but Michael Laney, after his run recently and after his second half last week, I really like him. So I'm keen to back him again. I've highlighted Luke Nankervis, but I don't know. Something is about me just wanting Michael Laney at the moment. So if you're going to bet on one, go for it, either or. Michael Laney has that 1 extra game in his last 10. But yeah, I like both of them. James Rowbottom getting a bunch of the footy. I know like Parker. Mills has hit a bit of form recently too, but I still think James Rowbottom can get a bunch of the footy. Saligo, you can usually never get at this value for 15. He's averaging just over 20. So yeah, I like Saligo for 15. I didn't throw him in, but if you just want a little bit extra value. Warner, yeah, I know he had that monster game against, it wasn't last week. I forget who it was against. But Port Adelaide and he had a stinker. He after the buys, he hasn't been amazing, but yeah, he had a really good game 2 weeks ago. So I've highlighted Chad Warner, but I'm not a huge fan of the price. Matt Crouch has been fantastic since coming back. So even when he got subbed, he still hit 25. So yeah, I really like Matt Crouch. I don't have him included. Okay, that's crazy. I've gone for Goulden, just a bit more value. I could easily swap Goulden out for Crouch. And some of these bets where I haven't penciled them in, I might, just get them out a little bit quicker. The ones where I've actually bet, I don't know, I'll sometimes really think about that. These ones I can get out, and then I might just sort of reassess before game day, especially if Crouch gets like to $1.30 as well. But anyway, Darcy Fogarty for a goal, good value. I know it's in Sydney. I've also highlighted Ben Keys. He's had a great stretch. Hayden McLean missed the week before, and he's been great, especially when Joel Amarty's been a little quiet. I really like Hayden McLean, big ruckman who'll come down, especially if Grundy can just stay in the ruck a little bit. I know last week. Oh, anyway, I was so annoyed last week, Brodie Grundy's game, but yeah, no, I like Hayden McLean for a goal. Let's go to Sunday, Doggies versus GWS. What do we have? So Connor Iden, there we go. I've actually included Connor Iden for 20. I was tossing up between him and Harry Himmelberg, but there's literally like, what's that? 24 cents difference. And there's no Lockie Ash. Lockie Ash usually he'll always get 20 posies in the back line for GWS. So Harry Himmelberg can have big quarters and then quiet quarters. So Harry Himmelberg might get an extra posie or two, nothing too drastic. He might get an extra kick out, but Lockie Whitfield is usually just the leader in that department. Connor Iden though, no Ash this week, so I think I would rather back him, and he missed the week before. So yeah, no, I'm on board for Connor Iden. I feel like you have to really worry about him. The only risk in the back of my mind is usually when the other team have a dominant small forward. So like, I know Connor Iden might not hit when like he's versing, like when he versed, when he hit versus Brisbane last time he hit, but I know what I'm getting at is I think when he versed Brisbane earlier on in the year against like Charlie and stuff, he didn't hit. And then they've got Cody Waitman, so a good small forward. So that's sometimes my only worry because he'll play a little bit more lockdown. But for $1.70 with no Lockie Ash, I'm keen for Connor Iden, especially after he missed. And I've been bullish on him and Wilmot, and I think this is my first time actually including Connor Iden for 20. I've been on the fence about doing it for a while, so I'm keen to jump on it. Libba for 20 is just free value because he could potentially have one bump and end his career. So $1.22, as long as he doesn't get tackled or a head knock, he should hit that. Harry Perryman has only missed one game, and yeah, he's been fantastic. I really like him. Tom Green. So I've actually gone Tom Green for 25 because this is the best value Tom Green and Lockie Whitfield have been like all year. Tom Green is usually in the red. He's not because Bulldogs get a lot of the footy, but I like Tom Green. I love what he does. He's just a bull, a beast in the mid. So yeah, so I'm happy to back him for 25. So that'll be the first time I'm backing him for 25 too. But obviously you got Treloar, Bont, Libba, they're contesting. I've also highlighted Finn Callahan and Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly missed by one posie in his first game back. Man, there's a lot to pick from here. Sometimes the games where there's a lot to pick from it's not good because obviously they're not all going to hit. It's shit when there's no one to pick from and there's too many. Because Finn Callahan has been hitting. Josh Kelly's been... I like both of them. I like Harry Himmelberg. I like Iden. Bailey Dale, he had a great last quarter or something. He was almost going to miss. Rory Lobb I've highlighted too. He spent a lot of the last quarter on the bike. He was injured in that North Melbourne game, but he's been great when he helps out in the ruck. But Tim English is back. But Rory Lobb has been getting a bunch of the footy. Now he's in that halfback intercept mark spot. So I really like Rory Lobb. Peatling, he's only missed once when he's not subbed. That was his first actual miss where he's played a full game. Otherwise, he's been great. Lockie Bramall, who we had last week, who can still hit even after getting no touches in a quarter. Connor Iden I've highlighted there. If you want value, if you don't want to go for him for 20. Green, Whitfield, Sam Darcy kicks 7. But then you also have Darcy Jones, the little kid in the lid. He was great, fucking destroyed my hopes and dreams in that Brisbane game. And Josh Kelly is usually a midfielder who will kick goals, but he's missed in his last 2 games back. So is this the game where he kicks another goal? So a lot to pick from for this game, a lot to pick from. And I've gone Connor Iden just because Lockie Ash is out. Oh, I could easily come up with a whole nother bet, not including any of these. Usually I'll have, if I have like another bet or two, it might have one varying player, but I could easily pick another bet that I like with none of the players I've included, which is very rare. Usually when I have my players, I'm riding them. But yeah, a lot to choose from. Let's go to the second last game, Carlton versus St Kilda. Second last one on the Sunday. Very short options here. Absolute bullshit. How do you have this many options under $1.20? Callum Wilkie's been in great form though, so I have included him. I'm not a huge fan of these 5 legs anymore. We used to do more of these at the start of the year, but since we had our little review, we've kept them to maybe 3, 4 legs. 5 seems a bit much, so Elijah Hollands and Hewitt though were great in that West Coast game, but they've been great all year anyway. I know Elijah Hollands missed by 1 posi, but that's when he had absolutely just out in his legs against Hawthorn. No interchange. They were just getting pummeled, so I don't blame him for that. And George Hewitt has been fantastic when he's not sub and when there's no Adam Chera. So I like those. Wangan Malera for 20. So he is usually this price for 25. So I had to include him because that's a great price for him for 20 plus posies. So I've included him. Callum Wilkie, who I said as well, he's been in just amazing form recently. And Matt Owies for a goal. 9 out of 10, averaging a goal on it, 1.6 goals a game. Kicked 3 last week against West Coast. Charlie Curnow is back though. I don't know how fit he is or whatever, but for $1.09, I don't even want to entertain the thought of Curnow for 2 goals as well. I think I've done that a couple times, but against St Kilda, who are usually renowned for having a very low scoring game, And who could just come out and win this? They're actually favourites, but Carlton need to win this to make the 8. So, yeah, I'd rather go Matt Owies for a goal. I also highlighted Cripps and Sinclair, both good price. But yeah, I've found better options elsewhere. Steele, yeah, no, he's been good. I think he was quiet in the middle of the year, but he's getting a bit better now. I like all these players as well, who I've bet on: Sard, Wood, Battle, but just a bit too short. And if I am going one short option, I'm going to go Hollands. He's averaging like a posi more than the rest. No, I like him. Yeah, there you go. So that one's the Carlton St Kilda game. Let's go into the last one. Freo versus Port. Now, to everyone else who does fantasy footy as intensely as I do, you'll know this game has so much on the line. I'm unfortunately got knocked out. I'm not in my Supercoach Grand Final tomorrow, or on Sunday, but I'll be still watching anyway. But for fantasy footy owners, this has a lot on the line. The very last game, and it's clearly like the last game, like 610 compared to 320. So there can be a lot on the line fantasy-wise for this game, which is crazy. Anyway, let me show you my bet for that one. So Nat Fife, I usually don't like the old boys, especially when they get subbed, but Nat Fife is just hitting 15 even when he does get subbed, so I'm pretty confident he'll hit. And Freo need to win this as well to make the 8, but I think it depends on what happens before that. So this could be a dead rubber. If it is, I'm a little worried then about Fife. Would they just... Oh, no, I like Fife. 9 out of 10, still hits when he gets subbed. Connor Rose, so he's got one bad game in his cycle still, and that was like a 14 when he was still injured and playing half forward. When he's fit, playing in the midfield, his misses have been 24 posies. So he's had one bad game in his 10-game cycle. Otherwise, his 2 misses have been 24 and 24. So I like Connor Rose for 25 plus, $1.45, great value. Hayden Young has had 2 misses, I think, all year. I think one was 17, and then the one was 19, which is last week. So I like Hayden Young for 20. And Miles Bergman. So yeah, he had a 3-week stinker in the middle of the year, but he's got that out of his cycle, and his 2 misses have both been 14 posies. So again, I love someone who's super close. Like, you know, Connor Rose, I know he's going to be in it till the very last minute, same as Bergman. I don't like those. Oh fuck, Kane Farrell. That still shits me. Some players with the high range, and they can either smash it out of the park and you can dust your hands and they've hit in the first half, or they've just got no chance of hitting. So I do like the players who have every right to hit. I've also highlighted Logan Evans, who I like, who I said reminds me of Darcy Wilmot. So he had a very quiet one last week, but remember, there's no Dan Houston, so plays a similar role from halfback. I really like the kid, so I like Logan Evans, but I've gone different options for this week. Corey Wagner, who missed the week before. Jace Burgoyne gets a lot of the footy there on the wing, bit too short. I'm not a huge fan of the goal kickers. I did like Michael Frederick for a stint, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I would rather go for my $1.40. I'd rather go Connor Rose for the footy. So there's also Sam Sturt, but he had 2 misses in a row and he's been great since. It's crazy that I'll bet on a player and they'll miss a couple and then they're kind of out of my vision for a bit and then they just hit in the month that I'm not looking. So anyway, that's my bets for the week. Hopefully we pop off, and I just hope this tally doesn't go below 1,000. The point was for it to be over 2,000 by the end of the year, but it's not going to be that unless we can get lucky in the finals. But usually, the betting strategy kind of revolves around $3 odds. So, you can kind of at least break even. You only have to win 3 out of the 9. So usually when there's only 4 games of footy, you got to win half of them to at least go positive. But anyway, we made up for that stinker 2 weeks ago. We actually went a bit positive. So anyway, thanks again, guys, for the comments, the support. Always appreciate it. I always read the comments and reply to them when I can. So again, means a lot. And hopefully we have a good round of betting this week. I'll catch you guys in 2 weeks because there's no footy next week, right? I'll catch you guys for finals footy tips. All right, see you guys. Bye.